Well, seeing as though the last video I did on stamps seems to have gone quite well, I thought I'd just do another quick one, just to see that it wasn't a fluke and people were actually watching it because they enjoyed the content. So, with that in mind, I racked my brains and I thought, what do I do next, basically? Where do I go from here? And how do I get something interesting? And then it sort of popped into my head. It's like, well, I could talk about a set which I've just recently completed. I think a couple of months ago I managed to complete the set. And what it is presentation packs, but not the ones that were produced by the Royal Mail. So a lot of collectors, funny enough, don't know about these because you won't find a price for them in the Stanley Gibbons guide. If you saw my first video, you'll know that Stanley Gibbons is basically the authority on British stamps. But they don't give a price for 16 of the presentation packs that are available. And these 16 are often called, they're usually marked down as Post Office Missed or POM packs. Sometimes they're called private packs. But these are quite difficult to get hold of, the entire set of 16. Some of them are far easier to get hold of, and one of them, honestly, took me quite a while to find. But I'll just explain to you what they are in case you ever come across them. And I've brought down all my stamp folders here. So we'll start at the very beginning. And the first two are on the first page of this album. So we've got the Coronation 1937 and the Festival of Britain presentation packs. Now, this one was obviously 1937, and this one was in 1951. Now, the stamps obviously were released by the Royal Mail, but the presentation packs were all the 16 I'm going to talk about were all released privately by different people. So for presentation pack collectors, these are an absolute must-have. If you don't have any other sort of rare ones, so like if you don't have something like the Forth Road Bridge pack, then these 16 are quite a good addition to your collection, because the packs themselves weren't actually released by Royal Mail, and they weren't available in post offices other than in certain places. So the next ones I want to show are these two, which are the Salvation Army Centenary, so that's 1965, and the Commonwealth Arts Festival, so again 1965. Now, I'm not going to go into too much depth. I'm just going to show you what you're looking for. And there's another one in 1965, which is the Lister pack, which is there. So I don't know if that's showing up well on camera. I'll have to, maybe I can do something about it in the edit. So we've got another one in 1965, the International Telecommunications Union pack. That's quite an easy one to get hold of, to be honest. That's probably one of the easiest ones. We've got the England World Cup victory stamp. This is not a single stamp out of the England. There was a presentation pack done for the World Cup, but this is actually the victory pack once England had won. So this was released a few weeks later, and this one says it's England winners. It's got written at the top. That's basically what differentiates it from the normal stamp and the normal pack. Then we head on to 1967, and we've got the Sir Francis Chichester. That's Again, obviously, all these stamps were released by the Royal Mail, but as actual presentation packs with all the details that you love and all the historical facts, Royal Mail just didn't release packs for any of these. The next one is Christmas 1967. This is another one, and this is one that a lot of people think when they see it is an actual Post Office Royal Mail issue, but it's not. This was a private pack as well, the Christmas 1967. What is the next one? And then in 1969 we have the Gandhi pack, which again, obviously the Royal Mail released a commemorative Gandhi stamp, but they didn't release it as an actual presentation pack. This was a POM or private pack that was released as. Right, so this is another one. The charity stamp, 1975, and this is also a private pack. So that's one to look out for. And this one is actually, you see this on eBay quite a lot, but it does go for quite a lot of money when you see it as the pack. The stamp doesn't go for that much, but this presentation pack does. So then we've got two that were released within a couple of months of each other. Number one is what's called the 10p stamp booklets, and this is the 8 stamp variant. And then there's a 6 stamp variant here on the other side. And these were released within a couple of weeks of each other. And these are both the Post Office Mist packs. Right, and this is the last one here. And it is the Silver Jubilee single stamp variant. Now, there is a 5 stamp variant of this. But because there was already the Jubilee pack with the 4 other stamps, the one I decided to go for is the single stamp variant with the 1 stamp that didn't come in the original Jubilee pack. So there, technically I suppose there are 17, because there are basically 2 variants privately of this Jubilee one. One is a single stamp and one is a 5 stamp set, and I went for the single stamp. Although, to be fair, I think the 5... because the original Jubilee pack, the one that was actually issued by the Royal Mail, obviously only has the 4 stamps in the pack. But basically, the reason I went for the single stamp variant is because it is less common than the 5 stamp variant. So depending on which way you look at it, there are either 16 of these or there are 17. But I only really count that one because obviously the other 4 stamps did come in a presentation pack. So now there's much debate about the rarity of these packs. Common wisdom suggests there are 5,000 of each. Although, like I say, that single stamp Jubilee one, you very rarely see it. And in fact, I hunted for that for about a year and a half. And I never saw it, and never saw it, and never saw it. And eventually what happened, I was on eBay, and somebody was selling the entire set of 16. I think it was about 140 quid. And I only needed that one. So I thought, what I'll do is I will buy the whole set and then sell on the other 15 that I don't need. Now, I still have 3 of them left and I've made my money back. So, yeah, it was a bit of a risk. But that single stamp Jubilee one, you just don't see very often. Well, I don't. I mean, I haven't seen it very often. But a few years ago, apparently, because I only found out about these packs about 2 and a bit years ago. And supposedly a few years ago, they were actually fairly cheap. You could get hold of them reasonably cheaply because nobody was collecting them, because mostly nobody knew about them. Because, like I say, there's no there's no Gibbons price for them packs. So stamp collectors that use the Gibbons catalogue to basically price their collections, I mean, it never came up. There's no officially they weren't released by the Royal Mail as packs, so they don't exist in the Gibbons catalogue. So people just didn't know about them. Now, thanks to the internet, we all do, or most people do anyway. So these were supposedly reasonably cheap and not scarce at all a few years ago, but as people find out about them, they want them for their collections, and they're getting scarcer and scarcer. So, I mean, I feel safe about telling people about them, really, because even when, I managed to get 14 or 15 of them very quickly and reasonably cheaply, and then it just took me so long to get the last one. So I can tell you on that because I've got them, so I'm not too worried. But lately on eBay, they seem to have found a bit of a level. Now, if you want the Gandhi one or the 8 stamp variant of the 76 10p's or the 6 stamp variant of the 76 10p's, then you're probably not going to spend an awful lot of money. But if you want a Jubilee one, or you want the charity stamp, or what's the other one that was going for a bit of money? The Festival of Britain one, the 1951 Festival of Britain one, then they might set you back a few pound. But yeah, it's just to get the information out there that this is a thing. Now, because this is, I mean, in the previous video I said that presentation packs started in 1964. Well, obviously there's at least 2 unofficial ones that came, one in 1937, one in 1951, as I've just shown you. But that, even if you take the official stuff into account, that is also a lie, because Royal Mail themselves did 4 test sort of presentation packs in 1960, and they were basically presentation packs. There was 3 lots of wild indefinitives, the Queen Elizabeth II stamps, and there was 1 set of the Castle stamps. I think it was the De La Rue stamps, and they did test packs of presentation packs in 1960. Now, I don't have them, and I had to really make the decision to not have them as part of the collection and to just basically ignore them, because if you think the 16 of these are expensive, if you want to try and get hold of one of them 1960 test packs in good condition, I mean, they go for an absolute fortune. They're just too expensive. You can't get them. You definitely can't get them in good condition, and when you do find them, they are ridiculously expensive. And also, they could be opened up and people could just put any old stamps in there. So you could be getting any amount of different stamps with different watermarks and things like that. So they're just they're just not very good to collect, in my opinion. But if you are seriously trying to collect for British presentation packs, then don't overlook these 16 private presentation packs, because I think a lot of them do add value to the collection. I mean, the extra information. I mean, you can have a stamp, the Sir Francis Chichester stamp. You could have that sitting there in your stamp collection as a single stamp. But what is that going to tell you? And this is the reason why I like presentation packs, is because they come with all the information. There's historical stuff in them, and there's just all the information. The reason why somebody like Gandhi deserves a stamp. I mean, if you didn't know who that was, you wouldn't know that. But the presentation packs have all the information with it, and that's why I like them. And yeah, so I just thought I'd get the information out there that even though you won't find them on most collectors' lists, even though you won't generally be able to walk into a stamp dealer's and find these presentation packs, and even though there's no real set price for them. Because obviously they don't appear in the Gibbons list, so there is, a dealer can charge you what they want effectively. They don't have to. What they'll normally do is they'll do some percentage of what the Gibbons price is if you walk into a stamp dealer. That's normally how they work. Depending on the dealer, they might say 50%, 40%, if you're lucky, 30%. But they work their prices out based on what the Gibbons catalogue tells them to. And that could be a double-edged sword as far as these are concerned, because that means there's no real fixed price for any of them. So it may mean you'll be able to walk in there and negotiate if you do see one in a stamp dealer's. But on the other hand, it means that, they can also set whatever price they want. And you couldn't even argue. So yeah, I just wanted to get the information out here that these 16 packs do exist. They are well worth having, in my opinion, and they fit quite nicely into my collection. Yeah, so just go and have a look, and hopefully you can find them about. I mean, eBay is absolutely brilliant for things like that, and there's some other good resources on the internet. So yeah, see, this is what happens when I don't actually have something written down in front of me, is I tend to just ad-lib and go on and on far too long. So I'm going to stop it now, and I'm going to, do all the usual thing, like, subscribe, whatever. Don't worry if you're a fan of the gaming stuff. There's plenty of stuff coming onto the channel this week. There's another, possibly another 3 hours of gaming related content turning up on the channel this week, so don't worry about that. I'm not just focusing on the stamps, but because I already have this other stuff ready to go and upload, I thought I'd just do this video now, just to keep things ticking over, really. So yeah, like, subscribe, Twitter, and if you do have any comments to make, so maybe there's another. Because bearing in mind, there is some information on these, but there's not loads, and I've basically had to piece together the fact that there were 16. When I first found out about these post office missed packs, these private packs, I thought there were 12. Okay, that was the wisdom that was handed to me, was that there were 12 of these. I've since found out that they're, through piecing together my own research, I've since found out there are 16. Now, maybe there's another one. Maybe there's another one that just doesn't show up very often and is very, very rare. I mean, I think that's unlikely because, like I say, the way I got that 1977 Jubilee one was somebody was selling what they claimed was all 16. So I think that's very unlikely that there is one that, two people will have missed the same one, but you never know. If there is a 17th one that I haven't picked out, then do put it in the comments, because it's not only going to be useful to me, it's going to be useful to somebody else. But as far as I know, that's it. And like I say, getting from the point of finding out about 12 and then realising there were actually 16 did take a couple of weeks of sort of research to work out what was what. So that's it. Hopefully everyone likes all the stuff I'm doing, and if it's helped you out, then I'm not looking for thanks over it, but just you'll know that you got something out of it, and that's good enough for me, really. And hopefully I'll see you in another stamp related video, or go and check out some of my other content that I've put up.